HOA Karen sprayed my service dog now. She's in jail for a federal offense. Have you ever seen someone hurt an innocent creature and smile like they'd won? It was supposed to be a healing walk. After weeks recovering from a PTSD episode triggered by fireworks near my house, my golden retriever Jasper and I finally had a calm afternoon sun filtering through the leaves, his tail brushing the grass like nothing had ever gone wrong. We weren't even near our neighborhood park's main trail yet when it happened. Out of nowhere, the rusted gate creaked open, and there she was, Karen, head of our self-declared HOA committee, striding like she owned the whole county, armed with her stupid little clipboard and her infamous orange sunglasses. And in her hand, a bright pink spray bottle. Not for plants. "Oh, you're back," she sneered, eyes locked on Jasper like he just trespassed into Buckingham Palace. "I told you mutts weren't allowed, especially not service props." I froze. Not because I was scared but because I knew what she was about to do. I'd seen that look before in people who thought rules didn't apply to them, in people who thought disabled veterans were just pretending. "This is your last warning, Captain America," she said mockingly. Then she sprayed him, right in the eyes. One long, merciless stream of citrus cleaner straight into his face. Jasper yelped and collapsed onto the ground, pawing at his face. I dropped to my knees, trying to wipe it out with my sleeve. My voice cracked. My whole body shook. My service dog, my partner, my lifeline. She'd done it, and she laughed. She laughed. But what she didn't know, what she never cared to learn, is that hurting a federally registered service animal is a felony. Not a citation. Not a slap on the wrist. Federal crime. I looked up, still kneeling, still holding Jasper. "You just broke the law," I said. She rolled her eyes and walked off, muttering something about delusional dog dads. That's when I called the VA liaison. That's when I called the sheriff. That's when the story changed. You see, a jogger had filmed the whole thing from across the street. He came running over as I sat there, tears streaking down my face, Jasper panting in pain. "I got it on camera," he said. "She sprayed him on purpose." He turned out to be more than just a jogger, was an off-duty journalist named Ryan Collins who'd been tracking HOA abuse stories for months. He knew who she was, and he had dirt. A lot of it. And just like that, the tide began to turn. Ryan uploaded the footage before I even left the park. No filters. No edits. Just raw truth. By the time I got Jasper to the emergency vet, his eyes swollen, his harness stained with chemical residue, Karen's face was already circulating on social media. And not the kind of circulation that leads to a sponsorship deal. No, she was trending under Justice for Jasper and HOA Karen attack. I wish I could say she backed down. I wish I could say she felt shame. But Karen, she doubled down. The next morning, a hand-delivered violation notice was taped to my door. Karen's scribbled signature on a fake HOA letterhead, claiming I had intentionally provoked distress in public and that my attack animal posed a risk to community safety. She even wrote that she'd be filing a restraining order against Jasper. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so pathetically desperate. Then came the knock. 2 men in black vests, official-looking. One flashed a badge. Department of Veterans Affairs Federal Investigations Unit. The other held a printout of the video, my name already highlighted. "We're here to speak about an incident involving a protected service animal," he said calmly. They didn't need much from me. They already had her name, the footage, and even a previous warning filed against her from another veteran 3 months back, a Vietnam-era Navy corpsman, who Karen had once accused of faking his limp to get sympathy parking. That wasn't all. Turns out Karen had a bit of a habit. She'd been harassing disabled residents for years, sending out bogus citations, towing adapted vehicles, filing complaints about emotional manipulation anytime someone used a service vest or medical gear near common areas. She had even once tried to evict a woman in a wheelchair for excessive noise, the beeping of her oxygen tank. Nobody stopped her because everyone was scared. Scared of the paperwork. Scared of retaliation. Scared of being labeled problematic by someone who knew how to weaponize bureaucracy like a blade. But now, the video blew it wide open. Within 48 hours, the county sheriff's office got involved. Then animal welfare. Then the U.S. Department of Justice. And then the arrest warrant came through. They picked her up in her garden. I was sitting on my porch with Jasper still healing, still slow to trust shadows when the sirens came down the lane. Karen stood in her hydrangeas, arms crossed like she was hosting a bake sale, until the deputy read out the charges. Federal violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, aggravated animal cruelty, falsifying public citations, and impersonation of a housing authority official. Her smile cracked. She stuttered something about just trying to keep the neighborhood clean. But no one bought it. Not with 4 cameras rolling. Not with Ryan live streaming. Not with the veteran community standing behind me. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Among the crowd gathering on the sidewalk, neighbors, reporters, HOA members pretending they never liked her, I spotted someone I hadn't seen in years. Sergeant Diana Moore. She'd served with me in Kandahar. Lost her leg to an IED, but never lost that cold fire stare. She walked right up to me with a cane in one hand and her service dog curled at her side. "You remember when she tried to ticket me for scaring children?" she said, her voice even. "Because my prosthetic made noise?" I did remember, and now she was testifying too. The case wasn't just mine anymore. It became a federal class action suit. The day the court papers were filed, the headlines exploded. HOA president faces federal charges after attacking veteran service dog. Disabled residents unite against Karen-led HOA abuse. Justice for Jasper goes national. Karen tried to save face. Oh, she tried. She gave a trembling local news interview from her driveway, talking about how chemicals were misunderstood, and claiming Jasper lunged at her. But the footage, cold, sharp, undeniable, showed otherwise. It showed her aiming, spraying, laughing. No lawyer would touch her after the first week. She ended up hiring a distant cousin who used to practice bankruptcy law, and once ran a Facebook ad that read, "Legalish help at low rates." Meanwhile, the court collected victims. Not just Diana and me, but for others. An autistic boy whose support cat was once trapped in a neighbor's garage on Karen's accidental suggestion. A deaf couple who received warning notices every time they used flashing doorbells or safety lights. A blind Army veteran who got fined weekly for his guide dog tracking dirt onto the sidewalk. And Mrs. Pennington, a 91-year-old widow, whose Parkinson's tremors were once cited as disruptive behavior at HOA meetings. The case took shape like a fist. By week 3, the DOJ officially joined as co-counsel. That's when things turned from poetic to judicial. Karen's past came flooding out: unpaid taxes, an eviction she'd once concealed, and worst of all, she'd never been legally appointed to the HOA board in the first place. The documents were fake. Every citation she'd ever issued, every HOA rule she'd printed, fabricated. She'd been impersonating HOA leadership for over 2 years while the Real board president lived out of state, unaware and barely involved. And then, one night, as if the universe had one more card to throw, Ryan sent me a clip he hadn't released publicly. It was Karen months before Jasper's attack, recorded by a former friend. She was drunk, laughing with a glass of wine by her fire pit, saying, "These vets all think they're special. A dog and a flag, and suddenly they want the world to salute. I say screw their medals. HOA's for peace, not pity." That's the moment I knew. There was no saving her. And yet it hurt, because the pain she caused wasn't just about laws or dogs or rules. It was about dignity. About every quiet moment veterans like us tried to reclaim from the darkness, only to have someone like her drag us back under because she felt inconvenienced by our survival. The trial lasted 5 days. Karen pled not guilty, blamed everyone else: her printer, her upbringing, even the confusing nature of federal dog classifications. Her final defense? That she thought Jasper was just a pet in a vest bought online. But the judge, a former JAG officer herself, didn't blink. "I have seen soldiers cry less during combat funerals," she said during sentencing. "Your actions were not ignorance. They were hate, dressed in rules." Karen was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison with no possibility of early release due to the animal cruelty enhancement. She was also ordered to pay $65,000 in restitution to me for Jasper's medical care and emotional damages, plus community service with disabled veterans housing. Groups. A bitter irony no one missed. When they led her away in cuffs, Karen didn't cry. But her face? Pale. Hollow. Like the power she'd held had cracked in her fists and drained out. And just when we thought it was over, another twist came. The park where Jasper was attacked? It had no name. But thanks to a petition signed by over 32,000 people, it got one. Jasper's Peace Walk. A bronze statue of a golden retriever in service gear now greets every visitor. We held the dedication on Veterans Day. Ryan covered it. Diana spoke. I stood with Jasper at my side, fully recovered, fully alert, and said just one thing. To everyone who thought their silence kept them safe from people like her, you were wrong. It's our voice that heals. After the statue was unveiled, a boy in a wheelchair rolled up next to me. He was maybe 11. Big eyes, trembling hands. His mom held back tears. He whispered, "That's what my dog looks like." I knelt down beside him, Jasper calmly wagging his tail as the boy reached out. "His name's Scout," the boy said, "and people don't always like him near their stores. One lady told us we were just pretending." I felt my throat tighten, not with anger this time but with understanding. With that terrible, familiar ache of being seen as broken, as inconvenient, as lesser. "You don't have to pretend for anybody," I told him. "Your dog's not a decoration. He's part of you, and you both belong here." His mom hugged me. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The fallout from Karen's sentencing rippled far beyond our street. By the end of that year, our state passed a new bill, the Jasper Act, banning HOA interference with federally registered service animals and mandating that all HOA leaders undergo ADA training. Violations would result in automatic disqualification from leadership and civil fines up to $250,000. The law was backed not just by veterans and disability advocates, but by everyday folks who'd seen the video and said, "Enough." Karen's name became a cautionary tale in HOA circles. Neighborhoods posted signs reading, "We welcome all abilities, Jasper Safe Zone." Some kids even wore pins with little golden retrievers during Service Dog Awareness Month. And the HOA she once claimed to run? Dismantled. Once the real president returned and saw the forged letters, misappropriated funds, and the mountain of lawsuits, the board voted unanimously to dissolve. The neighborhood became self-managed, democratic, and for the first time in years quiet. But not everything healed fast. Jasper, for all his strength, still flinched when certain scents passed by. Citrus cleaner. Bleach. It took months of gentle reassurance, of retraining, of trust building to bring him fully back to himself. But he never gave up. And neither did I. And maybe that's the heart of the story. Not that a cruel woman finally got what she deserved, but that no matter how deep the wounds, healing is possible. That truth matters. That community matters. That the quiet strength of a dog can anchor a man who's lived through war, grief, and ignorance, and still find his way back to peace. You know, people still stop me on the street sometimes. They recognize Jasper before they recognize me. They ask if it was really that bad what she did. If maybe she just didn't know. I tell them, ignorance doesn't laugh while it sprays. Hate does. And I ask them a question I'll leave for you, too. What kind of neighbor would you be if no one could stop you? Would you lead with compassion or power? Would you protect the vulnerable or punish them for needing care? Because that's what defines us in the end. Not what we claim, but how we treat those who need us most when no one's watching. So I ask you, what would you have done if you were there that day? And what will you do next time someone needs your voice? Let us know in the comments. Because justice doesn't end in court, it begins in how we choose to stand, speak, and walk together. Even if one of us is walking on 4 legs.